By all accounts, Larry, it was over the last many hours, possibly day or so, we are told, that the situation deteriorated on board that small lifeboat where he was being held. A U.S. official very familiar with what transpired tells us that the pirates became very agitated. They were anxious. They'd been, frankly, bobbing around in this thing for a few days. The seas were rough. They had no propulsion, and they were becoming increasingly agitated about what might happen to them. Shots were fired on more than one occasion, we are told, possibly as many as 3 times. So the Navy was keeping very close watch. These snipers were actually on the fantail on the back of that Navy warship that was just a couple of hundred of yards away, well hidden. The pirates couldn't see them, but the snipers could see the pirates. So when 2 of them made the mistake, apparently, of putting their head out into the open, and they saw that the captain had a AK-47 to his back, that's when the commander on the scene said, that's it. This man is in imminent danger. We're taking decisive action. And as I think now, as many people know, President Obama had issued standing guidance, standing orders, if you will, that if it was determined Captain Phillips was in imminent danger, the military already had the authorization to go ahead. By all accounts, it was all carried out and over and done with within seconds. Really a textbook operation, the kind of thing you hear about in the movies, but this time it was for real.
Stan, that ship was carrying humane supplies for Kenya. Did that now get delivered?
Yeah, it has been delivered. The Maersk Alabama was carrying food supplies. Now, it was destined for the World Food Program. And here's the twist in the tale with this, Larry. Those food supplies were destined for Somalia. I spoke to the World Food Program country director for Somalia, and he said they are in desperate need of these supplies. Somalia is a lawless state. There has been no functioning central government there for many, many years. Warlords have been fighting for control. An Islamist movement has moved up out of the south, rebel movement which has captured very, very large tracts of the country, including the capital, Mogadishu. Ethiopia was there fighting for a little while, and then it pulled out, and the rebels came back once again. So Somalia is in a dire state and desperately needs these food supplies. The World Food Program country director was saying to me that if these pirate attacks continue, it will imperil these food supplies into the future, that ships won't feel secure enough to deliver them. And that hurts the Somalian people, the very same place that the pirates come from, Larry.
Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Barbara Starr. Thank you, Stan Grant. CNN correspondent Kate Baldwin, she's on the phone. We want to check on how involved was the president in all of this, Kate.
Hey there, Larry. Yeah, it's something we've learned more as the day has progressed. We learned from an administration official as well as a timeline that the White House eventually released. The President Obama, twice granted the authority to the Department of Defense to give the go-ahead, basically, to use force to rescue Captain Phillips if need be. The first go-ahead came on Friday at 8 o'clock. That's when the President gave the nod for a military operation, and then again Saturday morning at 9:20, and I learned from an administration official that that was more of a technical thing for the second time as more forces and more resources moved into that region. Yes. And as we learned during the Pentagon briefing today, this was a standing order from the President. So the on-scene commander, if he saw that Captain Phillips was in imminent danger, President Obama had given the authority to move, and of course now we know they did just that. And lastly, on this timeline, Larry, we see, as we look through, I've got 4 pages of this timeline that the White House released, just kind of ticking off exactly when the President knew what. We then found out, of course, this afternoon at around 4 o'clock, the President was able to call the USS Boxer to speak with Captain Phillips himself, and he also spoke with his wife and his family.
Thanks, Kate. Kate Baldwin, always on the scene, our CNN correspondent. Now let's meet the panel. Here in Los Angeles, Harry Humphreys. He's president of Global Studies Group and a former Navy SEAL. In New York, a return visit with James Christodoulou, CEO of Industrial Shipping Enterprises. One of his ships was hijacked off Somalia. That was last November. Its crew of 28 was held for 56 days. In Washington, Chris Voss, former FBI lead international kidnapping negotiator and CEO of the Black Swan Group. And in Atlanta, Alec Frazier, former U.S. Navy ship captain who has lots of anti-piracy training. Harry, as a Navy SEAL operation, how was this tried and true?
Oh, this is a classic hostage rescue situation. The tactical forces got on scene as rapidly as possible. The entity split up into two elements. The one element, of course, tactical, maintaining eyes on the target so immediate response can go down when necessary. And of course, the second element is the negotiations element, a very important part of the whole scenario. The negotiation is where we want it to happen. We want the negotiation to resolve the issue without any deaths. These gentlemen brought it upon themselves. It was deemed necessary. The command initiated an assault, and the three snipers took out the perpetrators.
James, why did your situation last so long?
Well, ours was a little bit different, Larry. First of all, we had a much more crowded ship. We had 28 crew members being held by, at times, 40 different pirates. And we just didn't have the same resources to bear in our case as the Alabama had in this case. We didn't have military or government involvement or help. Not that may have made matters any better, but that's why.
Chris, from a standpoint of negotiation, is this a failed operation, or is this the only way to do it when you're faced with this?
No, this is an absolute success from a negotiation standpoint. In the U.S., about 82% of our situations are resolved with a combination of negotiation and tactics. The more I hear about this, the more I'm amazed at what they accomplish with negotiations. I mean, actually getting the tugboat to be towed behind the Navy ship is a phenomenal accomplishment. The negotiators also managed to get one of the pirates on board the Navy ship. So there was a tremendous amount of setup, if you will, for the negotiations either to see this the rest of the way through or to work hand in glove with the tactical resolution exactly the way that it did.
Alec Frazier is a former captain with experience, by the way, in the region we're talking about and lots of anti-piracy training. What about this whole operation, if anything, surprised you?
Well, it was an operation, as Barbara and Harry were referring to, that was textbook, but textbook operations just don't happen. There's a lot of training, there's a lot of preparation, there's a lot of patience. And when Harry was talking about the fact that the ship was being, the lifeboat was being towed, that's a huge preparation, because behind a destroyer in heavy seas that can proceed along, you can get a quiet area behind the ship. 50 yards or so behind the ship is the lifeboat. For snipers to be able to take a shot on a relatively stable lifeboat is huge compared to, as Barbara Starr was saying, bobbing around.
When are you trained to shoot, Harry?
The shot in this particular situation, because two reasons. One, a very high level of authority has to authorize the shot.
Head of the campaign bridge.
That could go as high as CENTCOM. In this particular case, the scene commander, the highest commander, was NAVCENT, Admiral Gortney, who we're seeing on TV now.
But, yeah, the question is, do you shoot when you see someone in danger? That's the only time you shoot.
As the shooters, we are on mics with a central command. That could be the bridge or the senior TAC. And we say, we have target, we have target, we have target. And then the exercise will go that way until the commander says, execute. And when you execute command goes, then the three shots go simultaneously.
Pretty sharp shooters.
They're excellent, excellent shooters.